Hello and welcome to the Total Soccer Show, Game of Thrones 11 edition, because the night is dark and full of Trek artistas. My name is Daryl the English of House Grove, and I'm joined by Taylor the Talkie of House Rockwell. Hello.
Hello. One of those is accurate, and one of those is also accurate.
So on today's show, Taylor, we are going to be going through picking a 4-4-2, 11 soccer players of Game of Thrones characters to celebrate the return of Game of Thrones to our screens this coming Sunday.
Yes, sir. We got what, 6 days from now? It's recorded this Monday night, which I'm guessing is why you had the lead-in of The Night is Dark. And I'm excited. I'm ready to go, and I'm glad we're getting this out this early as well.
So before we do, I've got a joke for you to set the mood.
Oh, joy.
All right, Taylor, what is...
Can I just add that I think much like Tywin would say, to paraphrase him, if you have to say it's a joke, it's probably not a joke. But yeah, go ahead.
What is Rory Delap's favourite TV show?
Game of Thrones?
Yes!
Well done. I stand by my earlier comments.
Okay, so now people know what they're dealing with. We should also warn people. Yeah. I mean, we shouldn't have to, but we should warn people. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Right? We are going to spoil everything like that you've possibly seen or you should have seen up to this point. And we may even touch on some like theories about how things turn out.
Yeah.
So nothing is sacred at this point.
Yes. I'll also add the caveat that I am, of all of the things we have done, like in terms of the 11, that sounds ominous, especially talking about Game of Thrones, in terms of the 11th show we've done. Yeah. So Always Sunny, I can quote pretty much every episode off the top of my head.
Parks and Rec.
Same for Parks and Rec. I've seen a lot of them MCU movies multiple times.
Star Wars, Simpsons.
Yep. I've seen those many, many, many times. Game of Thrones, I think I've watched all the way through once. I've seen other episodes a few different times. But it's definitely the one that I am like least well-versed with. So I know there are people out there who...
But we talk about it off air quite a lot.
Oh, right? Yeah.
But it's not a thing you can go back and rewatch 60 hours of it.
I mean, I think I probably will now because I do find myself... Because I think I started watching it like years and years ago, and then I stopped watching for a while, and then I started watching again. But I think when I first started watching, I had much more of a like naive, more like everyone is wonderful approach to the world, and now it's a little bit more like I'm not sure everyone's wonderful, and so that changes the way you see the show.
Is this you ceding defeat early to my 11? If you want to kneel now, I'm all for it.
This is me saying that we will spoil some stuff, but also if you are like the master Game of Thrones fan who's seen every episode 3 times and read all the books, you might be like, well, of course it's this person, or like, well, that guy leads to this. Like when we talk about some theories or we make some jokes.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that if maybe our knowledge is not as encyclopedic as other folks, then I apologize, but, there's only so many hours in a day.
Okay. On that note, let's get going. It's going to be 4-4-2. We're going to start from the back. Taylor, the Talkie of House Rockwell, who is your goalkeeper?
All right, well, I'm going to go with, probably the world's best goalkeeper in the world right now. I'm thinking of him. It's Manuel Neuer, right? And what do we think about with Manuel Neuer? Icy demeanor, commands the space he operates within, intimidating and prone to aggressive behavior. I'm going with the Night King.
Whoa!
Yeah, that's right.
That's a strong start out of the gate.
I'm just saying, you're not going to mess with him. You're not challenging him. If he touches you, it's going to lead to problems, so you're not going to contest them. I mean, he's living out past the wall for maybe the last 8,000 years, theories say. So he can handle that isolation. He's not going to be, when like if you have possession in the opposition end, he can just hang back there. He'll be okay. And he can seemingly teleport, because he just gets around really fast.
Yeah.
But the most important thing, he can get in your dreams, man. Those head games are starting way before kickoffs. If you end up in a penalty shootout, he's already in there. He's already told you which way to go.
So if a striker's one-on-one with him, he's going to be in your head already.
Oh, yeah. He's already in your head. He already knows what you're going to do and already has visions. You're going to be in trouble.
Here's maybe the nerdy encyclopedic stuff.
Yeah.
Is it the Night King or the Night's King?
That's a very good question.
So you know that question, so you do have the nerdy encyclopedic knowledge.
Well, only because when, first of all, I was, very, very interested in the Night King. And then I stumbled upon that massive debate about, well, this is the Night King, not the Night's King.
It's about an apostrophe and an S. Right?
And I'm going to go with the TV version, since, when it comes down to it, I'm basing most of this on the TV show.
Oh, me too, yeah, absolutely.
So the Night King is the character in the TV series. The Night's King is the, I believe, 13th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, who basically falls in love with, we think, one of the others, I guess they're called in the books, and he goes off and maybe he is the Night King now in the TV series. We're not sure.
All right, Taylor.
I didn't say I wasn't a dork. I'm just saying I don't know stuff as well as other folks do.
Okay, so my goalkeeper, as you may know from listening to some of these 11s, I sort of get very annoyed when people just pick the tall person to go in goal.
I see what you've done here.
So when we did presidents, I didn't want it to be like Abraham Lincoln because he's tall.
Yeah.
Not good enough, right? caveat.
Yeah.
My goalkeeper is 1-1 the Giants.
Yeah, that's not where this was heading.
But not just because he's tall. I mean, it obviously helps. He's gonna claim some crosses, right?
Right.
But like goalkeepers, Giants are a rare breed and almost impossible to replace.
This is true.
1-1 proved in the Battle of the Bastards that he can absorb a lot of shots.
Yep.
He can stamp out any attacks. He's great at clearing danger. You know, when he reaches out and just clears things out of the way.
He does that, yep.
And also, he doesn't talk a lot, but he is very decisive. You know, when Jon Snow's trying to convince them to join, for the free folk to join him for the March on Winterfell, and everybody's and ahhing, it's 1-1 that stands up and just says, Snow. And that's it. Decisive, and everybody's in. So that's why 1-1 the Giant is my goalkeeper, not because he's tall, but secretly it does help.
I mean, certainly it doesn't hurt. I would also say that when they leave Hardhome after that battle, that he just apparently walks through the ocean to get...
So waterlogged field, not a problem for him.
Well, I'm just going to say also, if you're worried about travel concerns, no, he can just walk there. He'll be fine. English Channel, not a problem for him. Yeah, he'll be good to go.
So you can play in Essos or Westeros. You can get through it.
I mean, he's not terrifying and won't turn you into ice, but I'm just saying. Yeah,
okay, so we're going to go from here. We're going to go right to left across the back four, in the midfield and then the forwards. Who is your right back?
I'm going to go Tyrion Lannister. Yes, sir.
I also am going Tyrion Lannister.
Are you really? Yes. As your right back?
Yeah, well, that's weird. Why have we both ended up putting him there?
I think because I wanted to put him in elsewhere, and I knew I wanted him in my 11, and I moved him around a lot, and in the end I was like, okay, you're going to go here.
Is it just get him in there early? Talk about him early?
Well, I am curious to see who else you have where. We can talk about that later.
Okay, but I'll back off a little bit.
No, we can combine.
I'll back off like Joffrey at the Battle of the Blackwater and let you have it.
Well, yeah, thank you for that, because he's very strategic in his thinking, obviously, and that can be both in terms of long term but also short term. He can dress down any attacker and absolutely destroy anyone when it comes to War of Words. Say an attacker comes at him and does something foolish, gets the ball turned over, he won't hesitate to say, we've had vicious kings, we've had idiot kings, but I don't know if we've ever been cursed with a vicious idiot king boy.
I saw that scene again recently. Yeah. My favourite thing about Tyrion is the number of times he slapped Joffrey. That was always my favourite.
So there is a compilation out there that's just that over and over and over again.
First episode,
I'll never get tired of it. Oh yeah, he does. And so that all leads to that he can talk his way out of most situations. But as with most successful characters, or at least characters who are still alive in Game of Thrones, you've got to have that kind of ruthless pragmatism to you, and he definitely has that. I would say shooting your father multiple times with a crossbow is the rough equivalent of a professional foul. So if he's got to bring somebody down and get a booking, so be it. Especially if it means that he can then denounce everyone in his family in front of the, I guess, what would it be called?
When he was on trial?
Well, yeah, when they review that booking later on to make sure it was justified.
Committee?
Yeah. He's not afraid to speak his mind.
He threatens to poison the entire disciplinary committee.
Yeah, exactly. So why did you have him there?
Because fullbacks need sort of game awareness. And as Tyrion tells Varys in Season 1, I'm not Ned Stark. I understand the way this game is played.
Yep.
So he's not going to have people sneaking in behind him. He knows how all of this works.
Or also, even if he is, it's to let them sneak behind him, because then they're going to put in a bad cross, and that's what he wanted them to do.
He's also, as you want from a fullback, sometimes you want him to bomb forward, right? He is unexpectedly explosive, as we learned at Blackwater.
Well said.
He can also pull off a sneaky cross, even in rough circumstances, like when he crosses the narrow sea in a box and has to push his poop out through the air holes.
Wow. I'm going to say that that's the first time the word poop has ever been said on the Total Soccer Show.
Oh, can you keep us clean lyrics?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the only other time that might have come into contention was discussing Gary Lineker. That's it.
But that was a difficult cross, and he pulled it off.
Yeah.
Best of all, though, if he does come up an opponent who's just bigger than him, stronger than him, can't handle him, he can just hire Bronn to fight the battle for him.
Well, more on that later, is what I have to say about that. I would also say, he has that whole conversation with, I think, Jon Snow about, know who you are and know your shortcomings, and then wear them, and then people can't use them against you.
Yeah.
So I feel like the natural argument is I don't know if he can handle being a defender. And it's he'll be just fine. He knows exactly what to do. He knows how to play into it. He will handle himself just fine.
Shall we get to centre-backs? We do this as a pairing. They don't have to be a pair. They don't have to, for example, be twins who spend a lot of time together. So what are your two centre-backs,
Yeah, that can lead to problems in the Game of Thrones universe. So I haven't necessarily gone with the pair, although I think they are now working together.
Interesting.
But you want, I think, your center backs to be loyal servants for the team. You want them to do maybe the less appreciated work so that others can flourish. Mm-hmm. And I think you want people who at the end are like strong and are going to come. They're going to bring it basically, and that's why I've gone with Tormund Giantsbane and Sir Davos Seaworth.
Oh, so I don't have either of these guys on my team, but I also absolutely love both of them. They have my favourite exchange, I think, in the whole show, but I'm going to let you, again, I'm going to back
Is it
up
also about pooping?
No.
Okay, because they also have that conversation,
it's
which is great.
It's that scene, but not that comment.
I gotcha. I was going to say, Daryl, get it together. Yes, so Tormund, okay, yeah. A man who has, how shall I say, tamed a bear, can certainly tame even the most difficult of defenders. He's loyal and charming, so he can handle press conferences, and I think the most key thing here is that he's not really going to abide trash talking. So say he's dealing with Diego Costa, he's either going to ignore him or beat him to death. One or the other. Just ask the Lord of Bones.
Absolutely. Yes. For some, Diego Costa does one of those like half fouls that's not really a foul and he can sort of get away with it. Tormund would just smash his face.
I've also got maybe Tormund's secret and obvious love in my 11, so I think he'll also be motivated to perform in that regard. And then Sir Davos Seaworth, a.k.a. the Onion Knight. Yep. The Onion, if you want to go with that. Former smuggler, so he can sneak behind defenses when it comes to set pieces. Mm-hmm. He's going to handle that.
Oh, so you'll send him forward for set pieces too?
Yep.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's also no nonsense, right? He hasn't got time for this whole Lord of Light nonsense. It's like very like, we got to get this job done. It needs to be like this. Yeah. So he is just going to be straightforward. That's what you want from your defender. And he does not believe in throwing others under the bus for your mistakes.
Interesting.
So no one getting chucked on that bonfire because he made a mistake. He will own it, and he will not let others do that.
Although people do get chucked on bonfires when he's not really into it.
Well, or when he's not around.
Yeah, it's true. If he'd been there, that might not have happened.
It definitely would not have happened.
I'll say this about Davos. You can guarantee that, I mean, the downside is he won't sleep the night before a game. Mm-hmm. The upside is he will go into a game with a light load. So he'll be as quick as possible.
There you go.
The favourite exchange I was talking about was when Davos tells Tormund that Stannis saw demons, and
these demons.
Tormund is like, "You saw these demons?" I love how literal he is. I'm also concerned that Tormund does not have a good grasp of tactics.
No, he does not. They're trying to put you in a pincer movement.
Yeah.
A what? I love Tormund. Wait, one other thing. You asked me why is he called the Onion a while ago off air. Do you want the answer? Because I've done the research.
Something to do with he stole some onions?
It's when Stannis was fighting in Robert's Rebellion. I guess he was I think he was besieged or he was doing the besieging, but he couldn't get out and he couldn't break the siege. So Sir Davos smuggled food in, including I guess primarily onions, and that's how they were able to survive the siege. And so that's why he's called the Onion King or Onion Knight, disparagingly, but he likes it. But also that's why he's lost parts of those 4 digits because you have to be punished for smuggling. Because Stannis is Stannis. Yes, the worst.
All right, we can also say then Davos, not Team Chef.
No, probably not. If all we're eating is onions, no.
All right, my 2 centre-backs are Brienne of Tarth.
Yep.
And Walder Frey.
Okay.
So it's
interesting.
A pairing of contrasts.
Yeah.
2 very different styles.
Bit.
Okay. Why Brienne? Brienne is the most diligent man-to-man marker in the Seven Kingdoms. She treats man-marking like an oath. She man-marked Jaime all the way from the north down to King's Landing and maybe even made him a better person along the way. She also did the same for Sansa after she collected. She sort of tracked Sansa from a distance, which is also part of man-marking, right?
Yep.
But then collected her after the escape from Ramsay Bolton. So you can really rely on Brienne. She will just, if you say, look after this person, you know that she is 100% committed to that job. That's why her sword is Oathkeeper.
Yep.
Man-marking Oathkeeper.
Yep.
Her partner, Walder Frey, he's a tricky defender. He'll appear to welcome you in, but then he'll cut you down, as he showed at the Red Wedding. With that in mind, he's very good at closing doors on his opponents and great at setting traps.
Yep.
So he will set an offside trap for you. He's an old man, right? So he's not going to venture far. He's not going to go anywhere. But he's very good at forming partnerships with people who are more adventurous, such as Tywin Lannister.
The only problem there is that he can fall victim to traps of, that can be very catastrophic.
But the person who laid that trap is also on my team.
As is mine. Yes. Anything else to say about Walder Frey, who's he's up there in terms of the unlikability factor.
I love the actor, David Bradley. Yeah. I think he's a superb, old English actor.
Also a massive Aston Villa fan.
Is that right? Of course he is. Yeah, mm-hmm. All right. So that's another reason for Walter Frey to play centre-back.
Mm-hmm. he needs a victory. It's been a rough season, so why not?
And also, some of his daughters are good-looking.
I think the one. Yeah.
All right, before we move on to our left back, it is time for today's first sponsor. Our Game of Thrones show is sponsored by Woven, WOHVEN, makers of incredible T-shirts for either $15 or $11. Right. It is a T-shirt subscription. The graphic tee for $15 you get, it has a surprise design on it. Not a red wedding type surprise, a nice surprise. Where Woven partner with quality graphic designers, have the T-shirt designed, and they ship it out to you.
I do find myself when watching Game of Thrones, it does kind of make you ponder what life was like. Obviously, Game of Thrones is not real, but the Middle Ages and clothing and man, they're all so fashionable and pretty, and they would all be not that pretty.
Yeah.
But maybe Woven would have made people in the Middle Ages prettier because it's first of all it's nice and light, so it's going to breathe a little bit more than I would guess chainmail. But yeah, you've got the nice patterns on it. It probably lends itself to maybe you could hire them to make you some house sigils on the shirt, and then that's easier than paying for everybody's uniforms. I think Woven really could have helped out both some medieval lords and also some Game of Thrones lords.
Also, for $11 a month or $15 a month for a high-end T-shirt, you will not need a loan from the Iron Bank to pay for it. You can also get 25% off at woven.com. That's WOHVEN.com. If you use the discount code TSS2017. Total Soccer Show 2017 for 25% off your first T-shirt at woven.com.
Thank you very much to Woven for sponsoring today's show. Now, should we get back to assigning some players to our various teams?
So far... Yep. We've done, a goalkeeper and 3 defenders. We've got a left back still to go.
We do.
Taylor, who is your left back?
My left back, I feel like things are too rosy in my defense right now, right? And again, as Game of Thrones has shown, when things are too happy, when everybody's getting along too well...
you know something's coming, right?
Yeah, you know something's coming. So I need somebody who's going to be...
The Reigns of Castamere starts playing.
Well... There we go. You need somebody who can kind of see what's coming, they can see it in advance and plan for it, and that person is Tywin Lannister.
Okay.
That is my left back. He can contribute to the attack, but he much prefers to stay at home and let others do the attacking for him. But he can sort of, make sure he knows what's coming, as I said. He's incredibly adept at knowing when he can win a challenge and when he should wait to dive in. He's absolutely ruthless. He won't hesitate to shut down a pregnant woman if it means that she might come back to haunt him later. So basically, he's going to defend them out of the game, mark them out of the game ruthlessly, just on the off chance that maybe then that player is going to come back and score a 94th minute equalizer. Not with Tywin on the field. And you won't have to worry, or he will not be concerned about the way the press perceives him. He will just focus on the game because, as we know, a lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of sheep.
Also, in our dressing room, we'll put locks on the toilet doors.
Yeah, that's a given. Yeah. As well you should anyway.
Anything else on Tywin?
Just that he's another one of those, I hate him, but he's also probably one of the best characters.
Yeah.
He's
my favorite character, at least not as a personality, but on screen he was this is going to be good. It's a Tywin scene.
The only thing that I find really frustrating about him is that, if we're going away from this episode, our episode, for a second to actually talk about the character, if you don't mind, I find it frustrating only in that I feel like a person who is as intelligent and strategic as he is would have such terrible kids. And obviously the answer there is that Tyrion is actually the best one. That's the one he should have put faith in, but he doesn't for any number of reasons.
Yeah. Well, the problem seems to be, to me, he's so into family first that maybe his kids take that too literally, and that's part of the reason why they're so terrible. But it's almost like he overexpressed the thing that was important.
Yeah, but it's just but if he's this smart... First of all, that's an interesting take that I had not thought about. But if he's so smart, he tells Cersei, who I think is one of my least favorite characters, and not just because she's terrible to other people, it's just because she's terrible. She makes stupid decisions constantly, and they ruin things for everyone else. And I think this is a good example that he has things planned out, he knows how to make things work, but then everything goes poorly on a number of occasions. But it just feels like if he really knew that things were going to go so poorly, if he really knew how everything was operating, that he would be like, okay, you're not doing that, and I'm going to stop you. It still feels like he lets people run a little bit too freely at times.
Fair enough. All right, so
maybe he just doesn't want to know. Maybe he just doesn't want to believe those rumors.
He shouldn't be removed from it all,
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
Maybe he's just too old to be playing the game.
Yep. Well, but not for my team.
Seems more like a director of football to me than a left back.
I thought about it, except that my manager is the ultimate director.
Oh, so. Okay. All right, my left back is Jonathan Snow.
Yeah, fair.
Which I'm guessing is his full name?
He is one that I wanted to put in mind, but did not.
The current king in the north. He is, for me, he's an attacking fullback. Yes.
Another question for you.
Yeah.
If he's the current king of the north, I forget where we landed with him. Is he now Jon Stark? Or is he still Jon Snow?
I think he's still Jon Snow.
Is he like Snow Stark and he's going to be like a weird car Stark person?
Maybe, yeah. Okay. Could be it. So for me, he's an attacking fullback, Jon Snow, because he loves to charge forward, as we learned in the Battle of the Bastards. He charges forward even when it's not necessarily a good idea, but he still gets away with it. Maybe one of the reasons is that he has impressive recovery speed, as we learn at the start of Season 5.
This is true.
The best I've ever seen.
Yep. And with that in mind, like, you might think he's like the attacker's truly beaten him. You might think he's dead, but suddenly he comes back, he makes that heroic challenge, puts it out for a corner instead of a goal.
So to paraphrase little Lyanna Mormont from the end of the episode where she's proclaiming him King of the North, I don't care if he's a bastard. Roberto Carlos's blood runs through his veins. He's my left back from this day until his last day.
Yep. All right. I think on that note, Roberto Carlos, I think, just announced the birth of his 10th kid. Jon Snow, still 0 kids as far as I know.
Well, he's one of Roberto's kids.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right,
that doesn't make sense at all, but whatever.
All right, very quick recap. Who's your goalkeeper and your back four?
My goalkeeper is the Night King. My right back is Tyrion Lannister. My left back is Tywin Lannister. My two center backs are Tormund Giantsbane and Sir Davos Seaworth.
All right, my goalkeeper is Wun. My right back is also Tyrion. My left back is Jon Snow. My centre backs are Brienne of Tarth and Walder Frey.
So, moving to midfield. My right midfielder?
Let's go right winger.
I alluded to it earlier. Sometimes your right midfielder has to help out in defense. They've got to back up their right back. That's why I've gone with Bronn. Bronn is my right midfielder. So he will be able to come back and help out Tyrion when the situation calls for it. Yep, as well you should.
Yeah.
He is one that I still... Every episode, I'm just waiting for him to get killed because he is so charming and wonderful, and they don't let that last for very long, usually. Something terrible usually happens. So far, he's pretty much unscathed.
My favourite thing about Bronn is that he doesn't really care about just what's going on. He's almost like someone who just got lucky, and he was just some dude, and now he's involved in all this big stuff, and he's just kind of going along and enjoying it. And
but it is sort of a lot of the typical vulnerabilities of people, because so many people on the show care so much about reputation and their lineage and how this person...
Yeah, and he laughs at it, right?
But it's 600 years ago... My great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather did this thing, and I'm still trying to live it down. And there's the scene where he tries to go get past the Kingsguard, and they're like, "You're just a sellsword who's lucky." And he's like, "Yeah, pretty much. I'm good with it. I am who I am." So I like that. I like that pragmatism. Again, pragmatism is key.
The favourite one is when he first fights for Tyrion, and I don't know if this is going to be in your thing, so I don't want to step on your toes.
We shall see.
When he's the champion for Tyrion with the moon door, he has that fight with the guy. And he kind of fights dirty and pushes the guy down the moon door. And someone says to him, "You don't fight with Anna." And he goes, "Nope, he did," and just points down points down the moon.
It's a lot of that. It's a lot of that. But see, with that in mind, I love that he knows when to get involved. Again, you want that from your right midfielder. The first opportunity to be the champion for Tyrion, he's down for it. Why not? But the second against the Mountain, he recognizes. No, thank you. So he knows when he can dribble past a guy, and he knows, I'm going to pass the ball now. This isn't for me. I also think...
I'm going to pass that Spanish guy.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see how that works out. He's upbeat and energetic, always up for a challenge. He gets bored if he's surrounded by wealth, so he's not really going to hold out for a ton of money.
Yeah.
That said, he is going to represent himself in negotiations, and he will get a fair contract, and he won't need his agent because... you look at that scene where he negotiates his rate with Tyrion, and I love that scene as well, where he says he wants double, and Tyrion's response is, "I don't know what I pay you now," and he says, "That means you can afford it." He knows how to negotiate. He's a smart one, that Bronn. He's a smart one.
Brilliant. All right, I like Bronn on the right wing.
Yep.
My right winger is not so likeable. It's Ramsay Bolton.
Ooh, boy.
He finished his life known as Ramsay Bolton.
Wow,
right?
boy. Wow.
Okay. how often...
Controversial pick here.
Yeah. I mean, he's not going to be popular.
A chill fill the room.
You're not going to be popular on my team, but he'll get the job done. Because how often do you hear about great wingers skinning the opposing fullback?
Goodness gracious.
Or if they have a particularly good day, you'd say they tortured the opposing fullback. No one has more experience skinning and torturing opponents than Ramsay Bolton.
Yeah.
Downside, he's a madman. He's also...
Just quick downside.
Quick downside, madman.
Yeah.
He's also very clever. He's very good at tempting you into making the first move. Like, do you remember that video of watching Ronaldo? And it would show you that he would wait for the fullback to make the first move, and then Ronaldo would make his move for maximum sort of efficiency. He will dangle that ball out there like he dangled Rickon Stark out in front of Jon Snow, the useless Rickon Stark. But then as soon as you take the bait for your useless brother, he makes his move.
Yeah.
That's Ramsay Bolton.
He's also, I mean, I'll say this, he is similar to Bronn in the complete opposite way.
Yeah.
But, like, he grew up as a bastard. He knows what people think of him, and he does not care. It's similar to Bronn that, like, I do not care what other people think of me, so I'll do what I want. And kind of that allows him to be ruthless in a way that other people aren't.
On that point, as his tactics in the Battle of the Bastards prove, he is not afraid to shoot from distance, even if it hurts his own team.
Well done. Good job.
I feel like I got you with that one.
Yeah, a little bit.
Should we move on to defensive midfield?
I feel like you are sidestepping a huge source of puns if you so wanted to with Ramsay and maybe his association with Theon.
Yes, yeah. I mean, honestly, I find that stuff so disturbing. I don't even want to. I nearly stopped watching the show around that point. That was too much.
He'll cut attackers' momentum, maybe.
I mean, he'll stop them
limit their ability.
So, yeah,
sure.
He offers some defensive cover because he'll stop people from scoring.
God.
Okay, let's quickly move on to defensive midfielders.
It's not going to get any better.
Who's your defensive midfielder?
Mine is Sir Gregor Clegane, a.k.a. The Mountain.
Ooh.
And it could be either one, although I think I might go with Reanimated Corpse The Mountain.
Sir Robert the Strong, I believe he's called.
Is he?
Yeah, I think that's what they pretend. They briefly pretend that's
right.
who he is, and
Yeah.
they're all like, "Yeah, we know it's the guy."
The guy with the purple face. Yeah. So you want your defensive midfielder to inspire fear, I think, in the opponents. You want to break up attacks. That is what the Mountain, especially as a zombie, is going to do. He's also 8 feet tall, which means he's probably winning most aerial challenges. He is completely impervious to attack. So you can try anything you want on him. He is going to stop it, and he is more than capable of putting in a few aggressive challenges of his own. So he is basically a larger, slightly more frightening Roy Keane. And that's always the barometer for defensive midfielders. Only slightly.
So the Hound is like Patrick Vieira, then?
Yeah.
So the two people everybody wanted to see.
That checks out, yeah.
Okay, my defensive midfielder is Brandon Stark, young Bran. Because you want your defensive midfielder to sit in front of the back four and not go wandering off.
Yeah, mobility is an issue for your defensive
Thanks to
midfielder.
Jamie Lannister, Brandon is going to be very positionally disciplined. Like a lot of defensive mids, he is terrible at shooting. Do you remember the first episode when he's doing the archery practice?
I do not.
So he just keeps missing completely, and then you see an arrow hit the target after Ned gives him some encouragement. But when they pull back, it's Arya a shot from even farther away.
Okay.
So everyone's laughing at Brandon because his shooting is terrible. But that's fine. Defensive midfielder, that's not necessarily the skill that's top of the list, right? Because he makes up for his lack of mobility and his lack of shooting ability with the best vision in all 7 kingdoms. He can see everything. He can see the past, he can see the present, he can see through the eyes of a wolf, he can see absolutely everything. Brandon Stark is my defensive midfielder.
I went down such a Wikipedia/internet black hole wormhole of what it is to be a warg and everything that goes into it and what that means and the rules of wargame.
Yeah.
So that's why I left him alone, because I was a little bit there's so much here. I'm confused.
If one theory proves right, this is a semi-spoiler alert for some theories. If one theory proves right, Bran will also be very good at setting up defensive walls.
Well, let's talk about
and I'll leave it at that.
No, let's talk
you
about
want to talk about it?
Yeah, because that...
Is this a spoiler?
There's a thing, I don't know, but...
We've warned people enough, right?
Also,
You're ready to skip 30 seconds at this point.
We're in theory mode, I think, now, right?
Yeah.
Because I have a theory that relates to Bran as well, and it relates to another one of my players, so we can talk about it here. So what's yours? What are you alluding to?
Well, the thing I've read is that maybe Bran, because you've seen him sort of affect the past in some ways, only minor ways, right? People have seen him, and then he talked to HODOR in the past. Nearly my goalkeeper, by the way, HODOR. I kind of backed out of it.
More on that in a second.
Okay, yeah. But so there's a theory that the legendary Bran the Builder, who built the wall and built with magic and built Winterfell and was the first king in the North, may actually be Bran going back in time. And apparently there's a history of Bran Starks almost every generation. They're always really impressive people who do big things that builds up defenses. So this idea that it's just him going back and living multiple lives to prepare everybody. Do you not know this theory before?
No, I had not heard this. Yeah. I like this. No, the theory that I've heard.
So if you can do that, you can set up a wall for a free kick pretty well.
I mean, that works. That's well said. The one that I've heard that I would find fascinating is that I feel like there's a chance that we're going to see Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen align, which means that if everybody unites, then you've got some dragons flying around and you've got a person capable of controlling animals. So there's some speculation, I guess, that maybe it will be Bran controlling a dragon versus, because I guess it's maybe alluded to in the books that the Whites or maybe the Night King can reanimate anything, including potentially a dead dragon. So there's some speculation that you'll see a dragon or a dragon commanded by Bran versus a White Walker dragon fighting each other.
Interesting.
So that might be a little bit too much for the HBO budget. Who knows? Who knows?
All right, so we've got our defensive midfielders down. Ready for attacking midfielders.
Sure.
Who's your trequartista? I said the night was dark and full of trequartistas. Yeah. Number 10s, who have you got?
All right. Well, I actually went with the Mountain for a reason, because I don't want my number 10 to have to do any defensive work. I want this person to be free to do whatever she wants. Okay. I have gone with Daenerys Targaryen as my number 10. All right.
I have as well. All right, let's do it. No, you go first.
Because she isn't going to let others tell her what to do. She wants her freedom. So she doesn't want the defensive midfielder being like, hey, come back. You got to do this. You got to be here. I need help here. First of all, Sir Gregor's not going to say much of anything. We've established that. But also, he's going to lock it down. So she is free to do as she wants. She never gets burned. So she can help out in defensive situations if she needs to, but she will do a fair bit of burning opponents. Jersey sales will go through the roof because I want to say she is the most popular character in the world of Game of Thrones. Maybe not to fans.
Number 10 Daenerys or Dany.
Or Stormborn or what. And that is going to be a problem, is that anytime she's announced, if you do the starting lineup, if you got to do all of her titles, you're going to be there for a while.
Is that why all the US soccer games kick off late?
Yes, it's just her. It's announcing all of her titles, even though she doesn't play for the US national team.
It's a 9 p.m. kickoff. It's always 9:20 because they're going through the Stormborn, Lord of the whatever.
But you think about, I forget what the rest of the world is called that isn't Westeros, but in the rest of the world, I feel like
Essos?
she is, I feel like she is the most popular person in the world.
Yeah,
so now, people are going to be buying those jerseys. They're all going to want to be affiliated with the Mother of Dragons.
Okay, the reason I've got her is as a central attacking midfielder.
I feel like we have a lot of overlap from this point on.
Okay, all right. As a central attacking midfielder, Daenerys is comfortable between two wings.
Yep. Well said.
She is on a mission.
I wish that was it. I wish she'd just drop the mic. That was all.
I can't break it. We got no more mics. She's on a mission to set people free.
Yeah.
That means setting people free behind defenses.
Yeah.
She has the patience to slowly build up before attacking. She loves the slow build-up. 5 or 6 seasons worth of build-up. It's infuriating, but we assume when she actually launches an attack, it will be an attack worth seeing.
Yep.
Right? After 6 years. There are lots of pressure. There's a lot of pressure on attacking midfielders, but as you alluded to, Daenerys Targaryen can definitely take the heat.
Yep, absolutely. She's also, I want to say, a little bit lucky. Sometimes in her plot line. Maybe not in the books, but certainly in the show, she seems to get...
Is it Napoleon who said, I'd rather have a lucky general than a good general?
Yeah, maybe. Sure, why not? That sounds like a Napoleon thing, even though I feel like that's not a thing he believed. But either way, she does seem to get a little bit lucky at times, and maybe that's also a thing you need for your number 10. So, again... I support your decision, if not because I also made that decision.
All right, so before we move on to our left wingers and our centre forwards and our sort of support staff for the soccer team, the Game of Thrones soccer team, today's show is sponsored by X1 Fuel.
It certainly is.
X1 Fuel is the pre- and post-workout drink or shake, right? You shake it up in the shaker that they send you. It is made of all natural ingredients like acai berries.
And I feel like that would be appropriate for Game of Thrones because it doesn't have all the chemical additives. So you could see it being a whole bunch of berries and other really, really good stuff blended together. I could see somebody drinking that before a fight.
Well, I think Brett, he's the guy that owns the company. I think he's a Meister. I'm pretty sure. I've seen...
Chains are uncomfortable.
Seen a photo of him. He's got a lot of chains, and they're all about sort of athletic endurance chains.
It's got to make clearing TSA if you're flying anywhere.
Is it links? You form your links.
Yes, for every single thing you learn or thing you master. Either way, it's going to make flying difficult. Take those things off. They're going to weigh you down.
Which Game of Thrones character could do with the pre-ignition formula to sort of get them going and increase their performance?
I mean, I'm going to say maybe that's what Jon Snow actually had to get him going. Maybe it wasn't magic at all. Maybe
Melisandre was just joking about that stuff, but then she secretly had the X1 bottle on the side. She put some of the powder in and shook it up and just secretly got him to drink it.
I think so. And then I think if you want to go with the other side who needs like the cool down, the recovery, I'm trying to think of a person who throughout the series was maybe a bit too quick in their decision making, and maybe
you should name any character.
I'm going to say it's either Ned Stark or Robb Stark. That maybe they just needed a little bit more time to think things through and make some smarter decisions. Maybe relax a bit, recover a bit, strengthen a bit, and then make a smart choice.
I'm going to say Varys needs the recovery drink because he gets about a lot.
He certainly does.
He's suddenly just popping up everywhere. He's got to be tired at some point. He's got to sort of recharge. So I'm going to say Varys for the recovery.
I like that shout because he's not in my team, but I do like that character. So sure.
Yeah, me too. Right? Mm-hmm. So x1fuel.com is the website. Any of the products on there, you can get $10 off with the discount code TOTALSOCCER. x1fuel.com. Discount code is TOTALSOCCER. Mm-hmm. Thank you to X1 Fuel for sponsoring today's show.
Indeed. Now, with that said, shall we move to left midfield?
Yes, left midfield.
All right.
Who you got?
So we've talked... Much like Varys covering ground, you want a midfielder who's going to get all over the place, cover some distance, but be capable of covering it. That person for me is Arya Stark.
I've also had Arya Stark.
I had a feeling we would have some overlap. Okay. There we go.
I pronounce it Arya, like she does. My name is Arya Stark.
Unacceptable. Lethal as an attacker, but knows how to ward off attacks on multiple fronts. Just ask the waif. She can like ride those challenges and then still prevail. She can get behind enemy lines without anyone knowing. She can disguise herself as like say like a defender, so the defense will be like, oh, that's fine. That person can go through. It will also probably throw off the assistant referees because they'll be like, I don't know if she was offside or not because it might have been her, but it might have been somebody else. And when people look into her eyes, they don't just see her eyes. They see the faces of all the opponents that she has taken out. I'm assuming that includes both hapless right backs and hapless right midfielders.
All right. I've gone for the rogue assassin and lover of tiny swords because she can definitely pull off a no-look pass like nobody else, as the waif learned. She loves to cross people off her list, so it makes her perfect on the left wing.
Do your notes have the pause in there? Did you make sure to add the pause?
There's an ellipsis.
I had a feeling.
You can see it if you want.
No, I do that sometimes with my notes as well, where I'm like, make sure you hit this point, otherwise this joke will not make sense.
It won't make any sense.
And I frequently forget.
She has fancy footwork taught to her by Sirio, the water dancing, right? The Hound, not impressed, but fancy footwork comes in handy when you're on the left wing.
She's had some good teachers, right? Realizing.
Yeah. She's skilled in the art of deception, as you mentioned. Just ask Meryn Trant and Walder Frey. She will carve up your defence like she did to the Frey boys. Rest in peace, Lame Lothar and Black Walder. Also, if she drifts in field to play the killer pass, she has plenty of experience threading the needle.
Well done. Well done.
Should we move on to our forward line? Oh, no, we should recap our midfield. Okay.
Sure.
Who do you have across your midfield?
I've got Bronn as my right midfielder, as my defensive midfielder, my destroyer, it's the Mountain. Ahead of him is the number 10, it's Daenerys Targaryen, and out wide on the left, I've got Arya Stark.
Okay, I have the charming Ramsay Bolton.
Incorrect, but sure.
I have Brandon Stark as my defensive midfielder, Daenerys as my attacking midfielder, and Arya Stark as my left winger.
Do you have HODOR in your 11?
I don't. He was nearly my goalkeeper. It was like my first thought for goalkeeper because he sort of holds back what's coming. But I don't know. It just seemed like one joke and not that much. And also, he doesn't do a lot else.
So when I was doing this roster,
it's a sad story. So
this is true.
Yeah.
When I was doing my roster last night, this might have been after a few drinks, and it seemed like a really great idea. And the more I thought about it today, I'm not sure it would have been, but I really wanted to have HODOR as, like, if I couldn't find a good person for a good position, I was just going to put HODOR in. And then when you asked me for an explanation, I was just going to only say HODOR until you gave up, and then we'd move on. That was it.
I wish we'd done that.
Except I feel like you would have gotten really bored of it real fast, because you'd be like, that's it? That's all you got? HODOR. Okay. So I left him off.
So who are your forwards?
Well,
thank you for sparing us. You showed much more mercy than Joffrey.
This is true. That's not hard to do. So I have paired my forwards here because you want them to have chemistry that elevates the pair, but it also brings out like other intangibles that you didn't otherwise know were there. That's why I've gone for Brienne of Tarth and Jaime Lannister as my center forwards, my forwards together.
Love it.
Yep.
Love it. Okay.
So Brienne, she's without guile, right? She is your kind of route one option if you got to get that goal late. She's not going to try to trick anybody. She's not going to be deceptive. She is just going to be all about the business of scoring a goal.
Good, honest centre forward.
Exactly. Yeah. That said, well, I'll say this. So she fought the Hound and won, so she's not afraid of a duel.
I just watched that scene today. Yeah.
And she stays loyal.
She bit his ear off, I think.
I believe she did.
Yeah.
She stays loyal to her people, though. But if she starts pledging her loyalty, you might be in trouble. Because Renly, dead. Catelyn Stark, dead. Jaime, lost a hand. Sansa had to deal with Ramsay. And I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to bum everybody out too much. But she is sort of like, yeah, maybe she's a little bit of a curse.
Yeah, it's one of those things where she's honest, and that's not necessarily the best thing to be in Game of Thrones, but it works on the soccer field.
It does. And again, as I said, it brings out better qualities in other people, specifically Jaime Lannister, because I want to say until the time that he's with her, when they're trying to make their way back to King's Landing, he is like,
he's awful.
He's totally awful, and then you get more about him. You get more of the backstory. You learn why he's called the Kingslayer, for example, and it humanizes him. And now he has sort of become one of the better characters, I think, both in terms of like he is trying to be a good person, but he's also consistently captivating.
So speaking of spoilers and theories, again, maybe press that 15 seconds forward button if you don't want to hear this. There is a theory out there that Jaime Lannister is the big hero of Game of Thrones. Like he might be like what do they call it? The prince that was promised. Yeah, it might be him, and the whole like story of Jaime Lannister is his redemption.
That's interesting. And I wouldn't mind that. And I would have hated that after season 1. Yeah. And maybe season 2 and maybe season 3. But I'm good with it now.
Strike partner.
Speaking of Jaime, so Brienne is the route 1, straightforward, no nonsense. He's the tricky one. He'll cheat, he'll trash talk, he'll antagonize defenses into getting aggressive when they shouldn't. Sometimes that can be a problem for him, and maybe he loses the hand. Yeah. I think that's the great exchange he has with Bronn, where he's like, I like to improvise, and Bronn's response is, that explains the golden hand. But he's also the media darling.
I mean, the guy that cut his hand off, I'm sorry, I can't remember who it is, definitely got a red card, though. So it was good provocation, right?
Oh, what is his name? Because I was reading about him, because I was like, what happened to that guy? And I forget that he then plays a very prominent role in later seasons. Right. And I can't remember what it is, so I'm just going to move on quickly. 2, quick description here. Media darling, but with a sort of bad reputation. You hate him, but you also know he's very good at what he does. He's probably one of the best in the world when it comes to taking on opponents. He is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Everything I just said. I mean, Jaime Lannister is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He's evil, he's got the attitude, but he's also great. He's got the attitude. Yeah. You like, he's got the swagger, but he's like backs up that swagger with actual ability. He's an informed Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
And he has a terrible injury right now.
This is also true.
But the doctor said he had the best wrist tendons they'd ever seen.
That checks out.
All right, my strike partnership is Cersei Lannister and Peter Baelish, Littlefinger / Carcetti.
Oh my God, I hate your forward line so much.
All right, should we talk about Cersei first?
Sure.
All right, Cersei is not smart.
Nope.
Right? She's one of my least favourite characters for that reason. She has zero insight into people and what they want and what's going on. Yep. What she does have is a stubborn determination to stay in the central role. So she's the classic selfish striker who just wants to be at the centre of things, and she is not moving. And in that way, she is a winner. That's why she, at the end of season 5, the end of season 6, she's on the Iron Throne right now, right? She is winning right now.
Destined to work out really well.
Right, but right now she's winning. She's also, without a doubt, explosive. Most people don't figure out just how explosive she is until it's too late. Ask Marjorie and the High Sparrow, or what's left of them. No one, and I mean no one, has more experience lifting cups.
This is true. Again, it took me a minute. I was like, what championship did she win? I see what you did there. I think Tyrion might, but sure.
Right. Like all strikers, her destiny is to one day be replaced by someone younger and more beautiful. Just ask Wayne Rooney.
Well, see, this is my concern, is that, like, so if she knows that, which she does, then every strike partner that comes along, she's going to, like, treat with trepidation. She's not going to pass on the ball. She's not going to
she's selfish. She's a selfish striker.
I know.
That's why she's there, occupying the central
so
role.
I'm curious to see how she gets along with your other strikers.
Yeah, well, you need someone alongside her who's cleverer, who can work around her, and can make things happen even when she's being selfish and central. That man is Littlefinger Peter Baelish, or, as he's known in Mexico, Dedorito.
Dedorito?
Littlefinger, like Little P. I did a lot of Google Translating to find that out.
I'm curious to see if that's true or if you've just like said a horrible slip. We'll find out.
No, I said little P in Mexican Spanish slang, apparently.
Little P?
Yep.
That's like Chicharito.
Yeah, so I said little finger is dead Dorito.
I see. But you did not say little P. That threw me for a second. I was like, what?
All right, so he doesn't look like a threat, right? He's not big, he's not strong, he's from a small, insignificant house, and yet he consistently has surprised everybody with foresight and planning and plotting and ruthlessness.
One of the most dangerous men in Westeros.
He may be the most dangerous man in Westeros, was the next sentence in my notes. Yeah, he's always thinking 5 moves ahead. Also, chaos in the box. Most people panic about chaos in the box. Littlefinger says chaos in the box is a ladder and he's going to climb it and he's going to score.
Yep.
Final thing.
I hate your strike partnership.
This is what makes him a great striker.
Yeah.
Like a lot of really good strikers, he uses the visualization technique, where he pictures what he wants to happen. He tells this to Sansa right at the end of season 6. Pictures what he wants to happen, and then he makes it happen. The visualization technique. So that's why my strike partnership is Cersei and Baelish. And he's terrible people, wonderful goal scorers.
He's not afraid to burn the team to the ground as long as he gets to be the main person at the end.
Yeah.
Is that another one for him?
It is. I mean, if you wanted a team of nice people, we should have done a different show.
Well, as Ramsay says, I think if you want a happy ending, you're not paying attention. So yeah, I think in that regard, you're correct. I just feel like Littlefinger, good choice. Any other character,
Dorito.
Yes. I'm not calling him that. Any other character with him is a good choice. I think he and Cersei, it's just going to explode into terribleness very quickly.
I also deliberately didn't have Jaime involved in my team, so I think he's better off the farther away from Cersei he is.
That is definitely true. That's why I left. Or you could have just left Cersei off as I did, and then had Jaime in your team. That would have worked as well.
Okay, Hodor. Should we move on to sort of extras, like extra team support staff for our Game of Thrones 11? I guess first, maybe we'll do our final 11s.
Sure.
Do you mind going through your team from front to back?
I do not.
Back to front.
In goal, Night King. Yeah. The Night King. Right back, Tyrion Lannister. Center backs, Tormund Giantsbane. Sir Davos Seaworth, a.k.a. the Onion Knight. Left back, Tywin Lannister. Right midfielder is Bronn to back up Tyrion.
Yeah.
Center defensive midfielder, Sir Gregor Clegane, a.k.a. the Mountain. Center attacking midfielder, Daenerys Targaryen. Indeed. Purple eyes. It matches. Left midfield, Arya Stark. And then up top, Jaime Lannister and Brienne of Tarth.
All right. That's a very blonde forward line. In goal, I've got Wun the Giant. My right back is Tyrion, the imp, the half man. It's hard out there for an imp. My centre-back pairing is Brienne and Walder Frey. My left-back is Arya Stark. My defensive midfielder is Bran Stark. My attacking midfielder is Daenerys Targaryen. Right winger, the charming Ramsay Bolton. Left winger, Arya Stark. I said it again.
You're doing some rebranding here, I see.
Centre forward pairing is Cersei and Baelish.
All right. For manager, I think I've gone with the obvious choice here because I think she is the smartest character in Game of Thrones in the sense that she is still alive, Olenna Tyrell.
Yes.
Yeah, the Rose Queen, I think it is. Something like
Queen of Thorns.
Queen of Thorns, thank you very much. But she does not like rose iconography.
There we go.
She's incredibly wealthy and has significant influence, but she talks like she's from the poorest neighborhoods in, say, Glasgow. She's Sir Alex Ferguson, is what I'm getting at. She's funny and charming. She's proven that on countless...
Oh, her post-match press conferences would be the best.
Indeed. Exactly. But she's also sort of like very to the point and very blunt, and she kind of uses that charming persona overall, though, to figure things out. So she presents herself as this like matronly grandma that Sansa has missed, but that's how she figures out lots of stuff that's going on. But then she doesn't betray what she knows. So, and to that end, I think she's one of the only characters in the entire series that Tywin Lannister respects.
Yeah.
So he will play for her.
Real recognize real.
He won't cause problems. He won't try to like get her fired by playing poorly. He'll be like, all right, yeah, I can handle this. And she's not afraid to get her hands dirty because she, spoiler alert, is the one that poisoned King Joffrey.
What?
Right? I know.
I thought it was Tyrion.
Huh? Right?
Yeah, you do see it, right? If you watch it slowly, you see someone drop it in.
I think so.
All right, my support staff. I've got the referee, Eddard Stark. Lord Eddard Stark.
That's a good show. I had him as a 1970s footballer, is what I had. Well, no, it's more about, like, because he is sort of, like, no, again, sort of like Brienne. Like, he's just like, no guile, no trickery, that stuff's not allowed. It's just like the way you would expect a 1970s British footballer to think. Like, none of this step-over dribbling nonsense. Like, you shoot and you run.
So here's why he's a ref. He plays by the rules no matter what. He will blow the whistle, as he did on Joffrey's heritage, and then he will put you in the big book card of yellow. You got any more?
See what you did there. No, Ned Stark was my only other one aside from HODOR.
Okay.
I already told you why I'm not including HODOR.
I actually enjoyed the explanation of that joke more than living through it.
HODOR?
Thank you. Yeah. Team Doctor.
Yeah.
Qyburn.
Hey.
Obviously, has some revolutionary techniques that will get players back on their feet in no time.
No way, dude. He's the... I would make an Any Given Sunday reference here, but I'm guessing you haven't seen that movie, so that won't work so well. But he is like the crooked doctor. Like, he's the one who's like, yeah, just sure, have a couple injections, you'll be fine. Yeah, sure, we'll destroy your knee in a year, but it's a year from now. Who cares?
Match reports to be written by Stannis Baratheon. Best grammar in the known world.
True.
Chief Scout, Varys.
Yep.
Of course, he's got little birds everywhere. No talent will be left untapped.
Pays them in candy, so it's a cost-effective system.
Goal line technology provided by Bronn. Because, as he tells Tyrion, when Tyrion's telling him when to shoot the arrow at the boat to set off the wildfire, he wants it when it's in the bay, and he keeps telling him, Bronn says, I know what in means. So that's why he's in charge of goal line technology.
Good job. Those are all good shouts. Are there any other big characters that we've left off?
The Hound. We didn't get the Hound in there.
We did not.
Yeah, he was one of my favourites. He was nearly one of my centre-backs. And I compared his man marking with Brienne's, and I went with Brienne.
We tried to make this also like not have an explicit tag on it, and I feel like if we had the Hound in here, it's automatically an explicit tag on iTunes.
He has some favourite words that are not so good.
He does. I almost had Ser Jorah on it as one of my center backs because I wanted, again, like that kind of like loyalty, honorable center backs. But the reality is he's kind of a downer. He's a little bit boring at times. It's like, we get it. You love Daenerys.
That's why he keeps getting exiled.
Right? It's like, dude, take the hint. You are friend zoned. Yeah, do something else with your life.
He's got no game.
He does not. He does not.
Maybe we could have the Hound as he could be in charge of meals because he's good at getting chickens for free.
Yeah, I feel like the Hound is not really going to be content to be on the bench either. So I feel like it's in the 11 or you got to put him elsewhere. Because he's not going to like just sit around and wait. He's going to be an active member of the team.
All right. So are we amped for season 7? Coming back this Sunday. I guess we don't need to be advertising it, right? If you're listening to this, you probably know that it comes back July 17th.
But I have enjoyed their teasers that have done a good job of showing nothing really, but also making you super excited for lots of stuff that's probably going to be, I feel like, not anticlimactic, but I feel like a lot of the stuff that looked awesome is going to happen in the first like 10 minutes of the first episode.
Or it's all like out of context, right? A lot of stuff that you see that looks really exciting turns out to be like, oh, it looks like they're in trouble, but then it was a joke. You know what I mean?
I can see that, but like, there's a couple different shots of the Unsullied, like ransacking a city.
Grey Worm. We didn't have Grey Worm.
We did not. I thought about it, but there's a great podcast called the Binge. Is it Binge Watch or Binge Watch?
Yeah,
Binge
it's
Watch.
the Ringo one. Yeah,
and they were making the point that one of the downside of
mostly good.
It's mostly good. They're making the point that the downside of the Unsullied is that they're so drilled that they won't make any decisions of their own. You basically have to tell them everything to do. So that's their like one vulnerability in battle is that if there's like an opening that you can run into and kill the leader, they won't do that because they haven't been told. So then I don't know if I want a player in there who like I have to be like, kick the ball, kick it again. It's dribbling. I have to right, left. Like I don't want to have to do that.
I'm very confused about Grey Worm's situation and what's gonna happen.
He's gone. And he killed a puppy. I don't want that either.
Did he?
You have to kill a puppy and kill a baby. That's how you become an Unsullied, at least in the books.
They're poorly named.
Yeah.
That is a misnomer.
The Haunted Past
covered in puppy blood.
It doesn't quite work. Yeah, I don't think I want to do that one. I don't think I want to do that. But I do think that like so there's scenes of them taking over a city, and I have the feeling that is it Dragonstone? Is that the like historical seat of Targaryen power?
Yeah, that's where Stannis was living before.
Yeah, and I feel like it's kind of neglected now, and maybe there's a couple soldiers, and I think like that's probably going to be in the first couple minutes is them taking that back, and that's them landing.
Oh, because that's like the first thing you find on the way to Westeros.
I think so.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. I don't know how the geography works. It's very confusing.
Yeah, I mean, only Varys knows for sure. Oh, do you know the Varys theory? There are 2 weird Varys theories. Again,
one that he's a mermaid?
Yes, a merman.
Merman, excuse me.
Or he's a woman, in which case he also could be a mermaid.
Interesting. Why? How could he be a woman?
I think there was some like speculation that his whole thing about being a eunuch was like cover for him being a woman.
Oh, that scene is too compelling when he describes losing his bits.
It could just be a good storyteller.
It could be. He is he's a very tricky person.
The very great cookout that they talk about.
Oh, didn't need that. God, there's a lot of cutting off of things in this show.
All right, but we'll move on from that. Okay, can we talk about
what's the other one, though? What's the other?
That was it. It's either that he's a woman in disguise, or he's a merman.
Yeah.
Okay. Final.
Could it be both? And then he is a mermaid.
Back. How did you find doing this compared to doing our Always Sunny, our Star Wars, all that stuff?
I liked it more. Actually.
You liked it more. Okay. I found it harder.
Yeah, I
feel like there were too many characters.
Yeah, you texted me last night. What's your 11 looking like? And I think my response was bloated. Because my list is like 40 people long about how they're all indispensable.
But I think it's easier with like Always Sunny, where you've got like quite a few people who've done many different things. Where this is like a lot of people, and they've all only done so much because there's only so much screen time. Right?
I agree.
Yeah.
But I also liked it because, again, when I first watched it, I sort of watched it with this idea of, like, oh, Ned Stark is going to win because it's Sean Bean and he's the most righteous character in everything. No, first of all, Sean Bean dies in everything. We know that. So I should have seen this coming. But like, you have this idea that, like, oh, the just will win. And so then when that doesn't work, it's like, oh, but he'll be avenged by Robb Stark. And then he's like, oh, he's chosen love over like what he's supposed to do. And in most stories, that works somehow. It's okay. And of course, it doesn't work. And so I like going back and rewatching it, knowing that, like, no, this is a storyline that rewards being smart and making the tough decision. And when you make that tough decision, you tend to be rewarded. And when you make the wrong decision, you kind of don't recover from it on a consistent basis, at least.
Okay, here's what. That's very interesting.
So basically, I like being able to rewatch it and think about it again because there's so much stuff going on. And then the final thing with that is also knowing that some characters do eventually get their comeuppance.
Yeah.
It makes it more palatable in the beginning because there are times when you're like, he's never going to get punished for this, is he? He's just going to get away with it, and he's going to be the one who wins.
So you can watch Joffrey a bit longer and be like, yeah, but we know what's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can watch Ramsay a bit longer and be like, yeah, but those dogs.
Because after the Red Wedding, that's the worst part, is like that all of the bad people are still hanging out and all of the good people seem to be getting murdered. And when you watch it again with those two things I was talking about, now it's like, well, no, all of the people who made dumb choices died, and all of the terrible people are going to die later on for being terrible.
Here's an interesting theory.
And also making dumb choices.
I've got a friend, Bass, who is kind of a story expert, and he has some heavy criticisms of Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Because he likens it to a soap opera where they keep having stories that don't properly resolve, and they just like spin into another story and just keep you almost like a telenovela or a soap opera where it just keeps you hooked into the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, right? And if there's some big like satisfying narrative conclusion, then it's all okay, right? So this is kind of like is it a really great thing, or was it just a stringing us along all along thing? And as we get to this like final, it's either 2 more seasons, right? 2 or 1 season split in half, I think is what we're dealing with.
That makes sense, yeah.
So we'll know pretty soon is all this coming to a proper conclusion, or have they just been like meandering like a crazy river for 7 years and taking all our money with our? I mean, it's the reason I got an HBO subscription.
I don't blame the TV executives for that. I blame George R. R. Martin for that because he didn't write fast enough.
Yeah.
And so now it's sort of
he's also spun out all other crazy stories that no one.
But that's what I'm saying. Is so like he's written like that's part of the reason why I kind of don't want to read the books. I haven't, and I don't want to because it sounds like he goes on for like 2 pages about the recipe for this dish. Like, I guess he's super into food.
Oh, yeah, his food writing's really good, though.
Yeah.
Like, he could have a second career as a food blogger.
Yeah, but it's part of the reason why I don't necessarily enjoy reading Stephen King, because it's just like, we get it. Move along. Like, we don't need the description about this. We don't need to know In the Stand. We don't need another 20 pages about the rock star's background. He was a rock star. He did drugs. He regrets it. Get it. I know where we are now.
So here's the thing that happens in the books. I can't remember the character's name, but there's a character, I think from Dawn, I want to say, who comes to visit Daenerys in one of the cities she's in, I think in Meereen, like with this whole idea about like trying to marry her and like tame the dragons and all that sort of stuff. And you follow him for like 3 or 4 chapters. Yeah. And then he goes to tame the dragons and the dragons burn him alive. And that's it.
I kind of like that, though.
But his story ends there, right? And I've spent like 4 chapters reading that. So there is a thing of like this story that meanders and then goes nowhere.
I think Game of Thrones, both the books and this show, I think are going to be, in my mind at least, similar to Starship Troopers, the book, not the movie, the book, by Robert Heinlein, which is like, people protest it for being pro-fascism and people protest it for being like sort of a hippie critique of the military. Like, it gets both at once. And I do think that Game of Thrones is like that in a lot of ways. Like, specifically the way it treats female characters, that you can make, like, I would make the argument that it's pretty bad when it comes to like the writing for women, that you either have people who think they're really smart and aren't, like Cersei or Catelyn Stark, who like, I'm doing the right thing, I'm doing the just thing. No, you're kind of doing a stupid thing. Or you have women who like have to be brutalized to then like realize their true potential. Yeah. And that doesn't like even mean like sexually, it can also mean like Arya Stark has to be punched and beaten and stabbed before she realizes like I'm truly strong.
But you get into a weird criticism there where is that say George R. R. Martin and the TV executives being kind of misogynist, or is it that they're just reflecting a world that was misogynist and therefore it's more acceptable?
Yeah, and I guess that's my point.
Well, we got deep on the Total Soccer Show.
Well, that's fine, but you can because you can see it as like Arya Stark, for example. You can see it as like, oh, she has to, like, of course she has to be beaten up and roughed up and stabbed before she can like be strong, and that sends a negative message to women. Or you could see it as like, no, everyone she encounters like treats her as an equal, and they don't really care about what her gender is or her identity is. It's more about like, no, like if you want to be tough, you've got to learn to be tough, and it's the same lessons they would teach a man.
I would say there are no good lessons to be learned from Game of Thrones about how to live your life.
I don't know.
Maybe if we have an apocalypse, there'll be some good lessons to learn about how to survive post-apocalypse. If you're trying to live in a civil society, there's not too many.
There's some decent life lessons in there. Tyrion, for example, it's not easy to live your life being drunk because if it were, that's more people would do it. That's, I mean, you know, I believe so. When I think Pod is hungover. That's a thing he says to him.
Yeah. I forgot about Pod.
Legendary lover.
Good old Pod. Yeah. Legendary lover. Mm-hmm. All right, we should begin to wrap this up. Yep. We should remind people that there are other 11s shows out there.
There sure are.
Search for them at TotalSoccerShow.com.
They don't often touch on gender dynamics in pop culture.
Not all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole thing could be written about Always Sunny, right?
This is very true.
Let's not go there right now. We'll be back on Wednesday evening after the USA-Panama game. USA-Martinique. We already played Panama. We don't need to relive that.
If only one of us had discussed that game earlier today.
Oh, yeah. I talked to Nathan Carr, Caribbean football expert, about Martinique. So, but the US plays Martinique Wednesday night, 9 o'clock Eastern. It's on Fox Sports 1.
Yes, sir.
Other new news. We have a new website. It's still TotalSoccerShow.com, but it's been revamped and there's a lot of new interesting things on there. If you want to support the show, you can find out how to at the new URL, TotalSoccerShow.com/join, JOIN. JOIN.
I tried to let Daryl talk me into building in our Kickstarter page to finance me buying a dragon. Daryl wasn't in for it. Apparently they're not real. Still not sure I believe you. I choose to believe that they are. So if people want to contribute to that, they can't because it's not real.
The Buy Taylor a Dragon Kickstarter.
I mean, I think we should. I think it's a noble cause.
We'll look into it, buddy.
I would like that. Every time my wife says that she likes the Rhodesian Ridgeback, I think it is, which is a type of dog. But it's also, I think, the name of a dragon in Harry Potter. I'm like, is it? Are we talking about a dragon? Is it real? Have they discovered them finally?
On that note,
If I Rain of Fire is a great movie. Final point.
Taylor Rockwell, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Right back at you, buddy.
Vala Margulis.
Vala de Harris? I don't know what to say to that.
Listeners, we'll talk to you again on Wednesday night.